Cuba remains on Washington's list of state sponsors of terrorism. It says Havana has provided safe haven to extremists. But Cuba asks, how can we open an embassy in Washington if we remain on that list? That's the big question, as a second round of talks between the U.S. and Cuba get underway here in Washington. CCTV's Jessica Stone joins us live at the State Department with the latest. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Asier. And that question going into this second round of talks really fundamental because it not only affects the status of Cuba as it relates to the United States, but many other parts of the world, especially when it comes to the financial sector. And the focus of these talks today is really how do we get embassies open in Washington and Havana? It's been described as a really nuts and bolts conversation. The Cuban government wants to link restoring diplomatic relations with this question of getting off that state sponsor of terror list, as well as restoring banking to its two missions here in the United States. Take a listen to how the chief Cuban negotiator talked about this at the end of the last round of talks.
Por nuestra parte, como parte del proceso de discusión,
what we're discussing on our part is that we find it hard to explain that there is a reestablishment of diplomatic relations between Cuba and the U.S. while our country continues unjustly on the state-sponsored terrorism list. And we have also said that for the opening of the embassies, it'll be necessary to resolve the banking situation that our U.S. interest section in Washington has since it began a year ago.
So now a year goes on, and the Cuban missions here in the United States still without banking services. The U.S., as I mentioned, does not want to link restoring diplomatic ties to that banking issue. Cuba has been on the state sponsor of terror list, by the way, since the 1980s because of its support of Basque separatists in Spain and the FARC in Colombia. Only the U.S. president can initiate taking them off that list after a review, which is going on right now. And then Congress has 45 days to actually execute taking them off that list. And of course, Asier, we have a lot of back and forth in Congress about that very issue right now, and certainly not a 100% agreement that Cuba should come off of that list. And until it is, global banks are going to really have a hard time restoring financial services to these two missions in Cuba. They're dealing in cash right now, which is very dangerous, and the U.S. acknowledges that.
All right, thank you so much. CCTV's Jessica Stone.